No one's job is safe in 2024 in the tech sector. Also, we're going to be kind of throwing out our 2 cents on this whole racist AI thing, as well as some Mortal Kombat 1 updates for anybody who still cares about that. Let's do the thing. Welcome, nerds, to this week's edition of the Gaming and Tech News, generally speaking. Now, I'm no Linus or Spawnwave or Gamers Nexus or insert channel that is dedicated to the tech and gaming news here. That's not what you're getting here. This is just enough to keep you informed, generally speaking. We do this just about every week as part of a larger news show called The Week in Nerddom over on the main channel. You can find that linked down in the description or at the end of this video. Now let's talk about some gaming and tech and maybe even some like photo, video kind of news as well. So, first thing, we don't have follow-ups or corrections. We're going right into trailers. We did get a couple of trailers this week. First is the Mortal Kombat 1 trailer for Peacemaker. He will be dropping the day after this video goes up, so Thursday. Actually, no, he will be dropping the day this video goes up. He's coming out on the 27th. Yeah, I think that's tomorrow. He will be dropping on the 28th after all, so today is the day. Happy Peacemaker Day. If you have the combat pack already paid for, or if you're purchasing the combat pack, you have yet to do that, then you will get him in this early access week. Anyone who does not have the combat pack, I believe the early access tower starts now, but you will not be able to purchase him until next week. Janet Cage, also in the trailer, is not going to be available until next month sometime. The exact release date for her was not given, sadly, but it is the situation right now. So go check out the Peacemaker trailer. There's a lot about this. We're going to go over it in the proper news section, but there's a lot about this trailer that's kind of awesome. From there, we talked about this one last week, just finally letting you know that the Erdtree trailer did drop. The expansion, I guess, is coming June 21st. It looks insane. Go check out that trailer. Really all we have for trailers, so let's get into some regular ass news. First up, the big piece for this week is layoffs. We are looking at now, considering the next 2 things that we're about to talk about, we are looking at in the gaming sector of the tech world, we're looking at approximately 7,000 people who are now jobless since the beginning of the year, and it's not even March yet. So that sucks. But the big one, the new announcements, I guess, in this realm of things, PlayStation is laying off 900 different staff members throughout their PlayStation studios. Some of those studios that are the hardest hit are going to be Naughty Dog and Insomniac, as well as the Sony London studio is completely shuttering its doors entirely. So this is pretty huge. And then on the back of that, Supermassive, the gaming producer that gave us Until Dawn, and I can't remember the other things because they're not in the notes, but Until Dawn, those guys are laying off approximately 90 workers, which doesn't seem nearly as significant until you consider the fact that they only have 300 workers, and so they're laying off approximately a third of their workforce. So that is quite significant. Yeah, just nobody's safe, man. It's there was a bit of a boom on the tech side of things, gaming included, during the pandemic, and we're just now getting to the point where that has reached critical mass, and that just a lot of these companies are carrying too much weight as far as who they're employing, and so they have to cut these corners where they're needed because, you know, profits are thing. So yeah, it sucks, but it is what it is. So that's the first big piece. The second big piece is Google. Actually, Google's in here twice, and we're actually, yeah, just whatever. Google, let's talk about the Googles. So there's been a bit of an update about, because all of this has happened since our the last time we spoke. Actually, I think it broke the night I was uploading last week's episode. And yeah, Google has racist AI, but that's not exactly surprising, even though it is technically news. There were people who were testing the limits of Gemini's image creation, and they were trying to generate images of the US founding fathers, of Vikings, of the most egregious one was German soldiers from 1943, because you can't use the N-word, the other N-word, I guess. You can't use the N-word for white people, which sounds really bad. With any of these AIs, it's a flag word. It's not gonna do anything if you use the N-A-Z-I word, right? So they had to get creative with trying to generate these images. So they said a German soldier from 1943, roughly the time of World War II, when pretty much all of the German soldiers were white men. Pretty much, I would say 99.98% of them were white men. I'm sure there were some females in there, but very, very few. When they plugged in these directions into the AI generated the things you're seeing on your screen. For those of you who are listening and you are not aware of this story just yet, they're basically anything, all of these images are anything but white people. And so this is kind of troublesome, because while, you know, it's not unknown that Google is trying to push DEI initiatives, this is a little egregious in that realm of things. So they completely removed the ability to create images with Gemini, and they're going to work it out. But so that's not the most recent bit of this. That's just kind of the bringing you up to speed portion, just in case you haven't heard anything. The most recent development is the explanation from Google as to why this happened, since they've gotten into starting to debug and fix it, if you will. The reason they gave for this happening is that they overcorrected, their word, they overcorrected, because the original image generation inside of Gemini, if you asked for a doctor, very nondescript, just generally speaking, a doctor, it gave you a white male doctor. Or if you asked for a lawyer, if you asked for certain things, it was always generating white male insert thing here, which, I mean, it is trained on images. It is trained on thousands upon thousands upon thousands of images that fall into these categories. So if it's generating this, it's because all of the categorized images that you built your AI model on fall into these generalizations as well, probably overwhelmingly so. So when they saw that this was the issue, their correction was to not generate white people basically at all. Like, some of the pictures that they generated that are being used as examples definitely show, like, the specifically the founding fathers, the US, the American founding fathers. There's, I believe, in one of the pictures specifically, it's a group of what could theoretically be the founding fathers around a table, save for the one very dark man that's sitting at the table with them, presumably also conversing and was not owned by anyone in the room. So yeah, just very strange and historically inaccurate. So Google hasn't said when they're going to give image back to Gemini, but that was their explanation, was we overcorrected because it was giving you statistically accurate images that we didn't agree with. So we wanted to tip the scales the other direction. So yeah, that's that part of it. And then there's another element to the Google AI stuff that's not really image based yet, but it was also revealed this week that Google is in a licensing agreement, or is heading to the end of a licensing agreement anyway, finalizing, I should say, a licensing agreement with Reddit in order to use the Reddit forums in order to train its large language model AIs. And then presumably at some point it will also use images and videos hosted on Reddit to train the image-based AIs that they're coming, because there's more than just Gemini. There's a whole lot going on behind the scenes at Google. There's a lot of AI work happening with those guys these days, and This is a little interesting, because if you'll recall, we didn't talk about it last week because I didn't see this coming, and I totally should have just put it in here. Anyway, if you will recall, or if you did not know, then I'm telling you now, Reddit is about to go public. They're about to be publicly traded on stock markets. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to increase their valuation. They're trying to increase their worth before they go public so they can make more money. That's kind of how this works. And also, it's very interesting timing, considering not that many months ago was the big issue with their API. The back-end usage of their API, they started charging for and was a big deal. And now Google is paying them approximately $60 million a year to have access to their API so that it can train its own AIs. So it's just kind of a whole lot of corporate gobbledygook, and hopefully something good will come of this, but if you've been to Reddit recently, that doesn't seem super likely. So that's what we got on that piece. And then our final bit this week is Mortal Kombat 1. We just got the most recent update, or the most recent combat cast, I should say, that is outlining key points from this week's update that should be dropping hopefully before this video has gone live, because it should be going live in the morning, the update, and these videos don't get posted until evening at the best. So the things that were covered in this most recent update are as follows. First off, there is going to be a proper free play weekend for the game in March, meaning if you do not currently own Mortal Kombat, you can download it digitally for free, and you have 3 days to do whatever you want with it. Presumably, I don't know that you can, like, you'll have any of the, I don't know. They didn't really go into specifics of what exactly was going to be free. It was just going to be base roster, if it's going to be all the DLC up to that point, or what. But March 7th through the 10th is going to be the free play weekend, so you can download and play with your friend who's really obsessed with some Mortal Kombat and still playing, because the community is a little torn apart. But we're going to get to that at the end of this piece. It is going to be, this free play weekend is going to be on Xbox, PS5, and Steam. And that is significant because the other big piece from this update was that crossplay is coming with this update. So as of the availability of Peacemaker, we are going to have crossplay, and that crossplay is going to be across all platforms minus Switch. It seems that all of the multiplayer game types, so not Invasions obviously, but King of the Hill, I don't know that I heard them explicitly say King of the Hill, so once the patch notes are released, we'll be able to go through that, or just play some King of the Hill. But they did say explicitly that Combat League is going to be crossplay, and basically any of the practice modes and any of the other casual play modes, all of that is obviously going to be crossplay. That was crossplay in Mortal Kombat 11. It's all going to be crossplay, not just between Xbox and PlayStation, but it's also going to include Steam and the Epic Game Store. So the PC is going to be included in this crossplay this time as well. So that's going to be pretty freaking awesome. That is one of the big things that a lot of the community that is up in arms about what's missing from this game. That is one of the big things that they've all been asking for. So that's a step in the right direction. That being said, however, no address of the netcode issues, no address of the Forever King game mode or the Combat Shrine game mode, or whatever the hell that's going to be. None of that was addressed, and none of that is likely going to be updated with this season. But still, there is a step in the proper direction. Other things of note that were made known in this combat cast is Peacemaker is not just coming to Mortal Kombat 1, he's also coming to the 2 NetherRealm mobile games, those being Onslaught as well as Injustice 2 mobile, both of them going live the same day as he goes live on Mortal Kombat 1, being February 28th. Today, hopefully, as you're watching. And that's really it. So one decent step in the direction of all of the naysayers, we'll call them. And then the rest of it is kind of fan service, and Janet Cage, no specific date was given for her release, though I could just be not remembering it and it's in the trailer and I just didn't write it down. So there you go. That's what we got for Gaming and Tech this week, except for Gaming and Tech suggestion this week. We're talking Mortal Kombat 1 again. I feel like there is a lot about this community that I love, and there is a lot about this community that I don't fully understand. And one of the things I don't fully understand is it's modern gaming. It's not just Mortal Kombat that was launched broken, for lack of a better term for this argument, but basically every AAA title that has been released over the last roughly decade has been broken to some degree, many more than most. And I don't know that there was ever a point in time where Mortal Kombat 1 specifically was so broken that you couldn't play it, save for the issues with connecting to the servers and the desync and all that. And I guess some people had a worse experience than I, but I have never really been able to not get connected for longer than a couple of minutes or so, even at its worst when the desync it was an issue. So I'm going to recommend you go play a little bit of Mortal Kombat 1. It might be a couple weeks early, what with the free play weekend coming up here in just about a week or two. But either way, that's your recommendation for the week. That brings us to the end of the video, nerds. Thank you very much for joining me for the news. Once again, there is a full and probably much more up-to-date and recent episode of the news, the full-length version, if you will, called The Week in Nerddom over on the main channel, linked down in the description, and probably link popping up somewhere around my face right about now. So click on that, go check that out as well, or if you prefer your news in more truncated pieces, then by all means just stick around here and go check out some of the other stuff we offer on this channel. Thank you very much for joining me. We will see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember, nerds, that if it is generally nerdy, it's probably here.